Next week kicks off the last synod session of the Synod on Synodality. And during this process, one of the members, Sister Natalie, mentioned that those that were working on this process felt like midwives who were birthing or helping to birth a new church. I just put this montage together for you again so that you can listen to her own words. These are not my words, these are her words, because it kind of does reflect on what we're witnessing in the church at the moment.
Press conference to release the new document for the continental stage. And our secretariat is no longer the secretariat of the Synod of Bishops. The name has changed with the new constitution. It's not about creating an other church, but to create a different church, a new style of church. Experience at the Synod on Youth, it is to live a new Pentecost, to receive a new impetus for the mission, a new vision of the church with a greater love for and greater commitment to the church. And then they endorse synodality and they change their approach in ministry. And they say, I can just become a synodal priest, a synodal theologian, a synodal sister, a synodal catechist with this new style that is a collaborative style. So you can really see the impact of the synod even, and you can read in the document also all the difficulties, and we know, you know, I don't think I need to spend a lot of time on the difficulties and challenges. There are many. And sometimes I feel that our role as the Secretary of the Synod and all of those who are engaged in the Synod, we are like midwife to accompany the path of a new birth of the church. So need to create new structure. So this new phase of the Synod implement this new vision, a new style of leadership. So a new way to exercise authority, this new vision of the church, calling also for putting relationship at the centers and developing new communicative dynamic. So it's the idea, and that's the new vision, the new vision of synodality.
As you get from my montage in the video, I am not very comfortable with this new church that we are being sold, and with the midwives that are gathering in Rome. I'm using that expression because that's what they have used themselves. They feel like midwives who are accompanying the birth of the church, this new birth of the church, this new synodal church, with so that everybody will be synodal. You'll have synodal priests, synodal religious, synodal bishops, synodal catechists, and so on and so on and so on and so on and so forth. Now, when it comes to this rebranding of Catholicism, if the whole church had been brought together with this, it might have been interesting. But the cheerleaders, those that are campaigning, that are so enthusiastic, are the same people that, you know, have the most heterodox ideas. You know, and you're wondering, wow, well, okay. Now, I'm going to give Pope Francis the benefit of the doubt. He is the Pope, but I just don't understand, and I've never understand this process. At the end of the day, I think it was Pope Benedict that said we should never lose focus what the church's mission is, because it is the only institution that prepares us for heaven. It's the only institution focused on the importance of sanctifying ourselves and attaining union with God. It's no small task, but it's not something that the world understands. You know, the world thinks we should be doing so many things. We should be becoming this activist organization, this charity organization. At the end of the day, the mission of the church is to save souls. I know, and the world doesn't understand this. The world doesn't understand the church's mission. I don't know where this synodal process is going to go. I can't see what it is, but as I said, the cheerleaders of it, James Martin and Father Timothy Radcliffe and and I know some Dominicans don't like me talking about their ex-head, but okay, it's interesting the stuff that comes up in discussion. We heard recently Father Timothy Radcliffe, again in the Observatory Romanum, making some interesting comments on sexuality and so forth. And I suppose this discussion will go on, and we'll see where it ultimately leads to. Will it lead to a renewal of the Catholic faith? We'll have to see. And maybe Robert Nugent's assessment is totally wrong. And, maybe what the Pope is doing is the future of the church. This new synodal church, this new church. There's just one thing that in the back of my mind keeps coming up again. You have all of these great mystics in the church, great bishops of the church, the likes of Bishop Fulton Sheen, or the likes of Father Goby, that talk about a false church and a false Christ. For example, if we look at what Our Lady said to Father Goby on the 13th of June, 1989, so that's the second anniversary of the second apparition of Fatima. Now, and Father Goby, they have opened his process of canonization, so the black beast like a leopard indicates the Freemasonry. The beast who has the two horns like a lamb indicates Freemasonry infiltrated into the interior of the church. That is to say, ecclesiastical masonry, which has already spread especially among the members of the hierarchy. This Masonic infiltration into the interior of the church was already foretold to you by me at Fatima, when I announced to you that Satan would enter in even to the summit of the church. Satan would enter in even to the summit of the church. Does that mean bishops, cardinals, the Pope? I'm just asking, what is the summit? Who ask the question. If the task of Masonry is to lead souls to perdition, bringing them to worship the false divinities, the task of ecclesiastical Masonry, on the other hand, is that of destroying Christ and his church, building a new idol, namely a false Christ and a false church. So that is message supposedly given by our Blessed Mother to Father Goby on the second anniversary of Fatima on June 1989. And again, this book fell into my hands, and has people getting a little bit annoyed that I'm blogging about Father Goby. I'm just reciting what Father Goby, but many others, have been saying. We look at the message of Akita, which is constat de supernaturalitate, the highest approval that can be given to a phenomenon in the church, using the guidelines that were in place in the day, with the approval of Cardinal Ratzinger, the prefect of the Doctrine of the Faith. So approved. And even the messages at the time, Cardinal Ratzinger said to Bishop Ito that they were in line with what Our Lady of said in Fatima. And it's not just Akita. If it was just that nun, that message, okay, one message. But there's a whole series of people, of prophets giving prophetic warnings to the church. And we just say, no. God would, our Blessed Mother, she doesn't do that. She doesn't warn. Either she's a real mother or she's not a real mother. And if she's a real mother, she would warn her children. Do you not think that if she is Mater Ecclesia, you ever go to Rome, you will see this mosaic if you're standing in St. Peter's, if you look up to your right on the wall, not far from the papal apartments, you will see this mosaic of Mater Ecclesia. So if she is Mater Ecclesia, we are children, her children, we're part of the church, the mystical body of Christ. In a sense, a body that she gave birth to. We are brothers and sisters in Christ, a Christ she gave birth to. Her DNA is literally in the church, Mary's DNA. So if she is Mater Ecclesia, would she not warn us when we are moving away from her Son and the mission that her Son gave in the church? What is the mission of the church? Is salvation of souls. And so the way that you do this sometimes is difficult to give that message to the world. Again, there's lots of great other Catholic experts out there. Lots of bloggers blogging about this in the Catholic world. I just thought it is interesting. It is interesting that the volume and the numbers of mystics and people calling out what is happening and what is and would happen in the church. Garabandal. As I said yesterday, I had that interview with Don Ernesto Zucchini early in the week. It was in Italian. And he was mentioning at the time of St. Faustina's writings being put on the index in the late 1950s, early 1960s, that the Congregation of the Doctrine of Faith had several hundred, 200 and something, of the same type of mystics and seers messages being sent to them to be scrutinized. It wasn't just Sister Faustina Kowalska. You also have, for example, Maria Valtorta's writings, and you hear the same types of warnings in her writings, in her notebooks, and at the end of the poem of the Man God, you know Christ saying to you, you're not on the right path. So, why would heaven be warning us? Why would our Blessed Mother be warning us? Because we're going in the wrong direction. We are going in the wrong direction. If today's modern world doesn't need Christ, it tells us you don't need religion. We don't need Christ. We can live perfectly fine ourselves. Sure, that's what Satan has been saying to us. You don't need God. I can give you this world of peace. You can stay here. You can live here. Don't go looking for that other world, that other kingdom. My kingdom can be better. You can all be brothers, but just don't have Christ above you. The temptation. But anyway, I just want to wish the midwives, the ecclesiastical midwives that are gathering in Rome, and I'm using that term midwife because it's what Sister Natalie herself has used. That's how they feel. That's how they felt themselves as. I congratulate all the ecclesiastical midwives as they gather in Rome to give us this new church. Well, let's hope that this new church is better than the old one. And I suppose by your fruits you will be known. And I let the church discern all of this thing. But as I said, I don't, the cheerleaders don't give me much trust in this process. The cheerleaders, those that are they're like salesmen flogging a product I don't want. I don't need, I don't want. But you have to listen to the sales pitch. And, it's like that commercial that comes on and, you just can't get, okay, I have to listen to 30 seconds of something that I don't want. The sales pitch doesn't sell me this new church. But again, I'm just one tiny person, one tiny soul in the church. And maybe Robert Nugent has judged this whole thing wrong. And maybe this new synodal church will be the incredible saving reality for this millennium. God knows. We'll have to see. Pray for the church. Take care.